We're now at a point where a lot of you will probably have done every save you had planned before FIFA 23 came out, and maybe you're looking for some more different or maybe even some crazy ideas to help keep FIFA 23's career mode fun. If you have any crazy save ideas you think people should know, leave them in the comments below. But let's get started with the 5 ideas that I've come up with for this video. The first save idea is called the 2-season challenge. Now, if you like long-term career mode saves, this might be the one for you, and from the title you might already guess exactly what's going to be happening. So you're going to start at any team that you want, in any league that you want, and play the first 2 seasons as you normally would. So that's setting up a youth academy, it's signing new players, it's trying to get as high up the league as you can, and maybe even going for a cup win. At the end of season 2, you'll now need to move your club. It's best if you stay in the same league, but if you can't, then that's no real problem as long as you move back in the future. So now you're going to be competing against your former team. This gives you a little bit of extra challenge because obviously the AI on FIFA 23 isn't actually great at building squads, so by using this human built squad, they can actually still compete for quite a while after you've left the club. So now you play another 2 seasons as your new team, and at the end of these 2 seasons, you guessed it, you're going to be changing clubs yet again. So every 2 seasons, change club to preferably another team in the same league, and eventually you'll have a league where every single team is pretty stacked and well built. Because you'll be moving every 2 seasons, after 14 seasons of your career mode, you'll have managed 7 clubs. I think it's very unlikely you'll manage to win the league with all 7, but I don't see why you couldn't do it with 3 or 4 if you're super good at the game. With the final season, why not go back to the original club and see if you can win the league yet again? I think that would be a super cool challenge and a really good way to end the 2-season challenge. Our next idea is going to be based around building a team that has a player of every single height. So this is from the smallest player in FIFA at 5'1" all the way to the tallest at 6'9". This gives you a squad of 21 different players. It makes you have to think, are you going to go for really tall players in defense, or do you want to go for tiny fast players on the wings and have your tall players all throughout the middle of the pitch? Are you going to go for a really tall goalkeeper, or are you going to go for a big target man instead? It's super easy to keep track of as well, because once you've bought a player, the height will not change. Players don't grow, they don't shrink, so that 6'9" player is always going to be 6'9". Now you'll have this random team full of players you might never have used. You might have to adjust your tactics, you might have to decide on which player is best, you might have to sell some of your better players to afford younger players. It's a simple restriction, but it can actually change the save in a massive way. So that's the second idea we've talked about today. Next up is an idea that I have mentioned in the past, but I finally decided to include it in a video. So this is the FIFA 23 unicorns. There are only 22 nations on FIFA 23 that have a single player in the game. The nations include Afghanistan, Andorra, Bermuda, Chad, Ethiopia. I've put a full list of every single nation in the description below, as well as instructions on how to do every single challenge in this video. So have a look at that if you're interested in doing this save. So basically, you're going to be trying to develop some of these players to a level where they'll actually get a regen or a pre-gen, and see if you can multiply the amount of players from these countries. For example, if you take a player from Singapore, develop them up to around 80 overall, there's a big chance they might actually get a regen or a pre-gen when they start to get quite old. If you're playing on modded FIFA on PC, then you could even try and send out your youth scouts to some of these nations to build a whole first 11 of one of these teams. Andorra is a pretty big one, of course, with them having their own team in game, with FC Andorra being in the Spanish 2nd division, so maybe you could try and build a full Andorran save if you're playing with modded PC. But if you're not, then just try and sign some players from North Korea, Kazakhstan, Seychelles, Vanuatu. There's so many interesting nations here. Why don't you see if you can develop them and build a winning squad from a bunch of unicorns on FIFA 23 career mode? So now let's talk about the exact opposite of a unicorn. There are a ton of really good players that don't have a national team on FIFA 23. So what you're going to be doing is creating an unconventional national team that plays in a regular league. So what you need to do is create a club based on a team that doesn't have a national team in the game. Give them lower ratings if you want them to be tough, but give them a decent budget because you'll need it to be signing a lot of players from that nationality. And that's exactly what you'll be doing. You'll only be signing players from that nationality. For example, if you created the Nigerian national team in the Premier League, you could go out and sign players like Osimhen, Ndidi and Calvin Bassey. while sending your youth scouts out to try and find the next star from that nation. There's actually a surprisingly large list of nations that don't have national teams in FIFA career mode, even though a lot of them do have national teams in the World Cup mode. Some fun ideas could be Nigeria, as we mentioned before, but also Egypt, Chile, Ivory Coast, and Uruguay. All of them have a lot of really good players, a lot of really good histories, and in my opinion, a lot of very fun history that you can try and incorporate into your career mode team. For example, with Egypt, you could of course go out and buy Salah, or you could leave him at Liverpool and try and beat his Liverpool team with a team full of other Egyptian players. There's a couple of other Egyptians that have played in the Premier League in the past. For example, you can go and get Hegazi, who used to play for West Brom, Trezeguet, who used to play for Aston Villa, and El Neni, who still does play for Arsenal. Put them all together with some youth players, and all of a sudden you've got a fully Egyptian squad trying to dominate the Premier League. The same can be said for Uruguay. You can re-sign Cavani, Luis Suarez, maybe even get Darwin Núñez from Liverpool after a few seasons. Super fun career mode in my opinion, and it is also quite challenging by totally limiting the players that you can sign. If you're on modded PC, of course you can send out all 3 youth scouts to the same nation. So you could send all 3 of your youth scouts out to the Ivory Coast or Chile or Egypt, Uruguay, Nigeria, wherever you decide to do this career mode with. You can send all 3 out and just get a ton of youth prospects and a really good team. So I really do recommend this save. Give it a go and let me know on Discord how it goes if you do decide to do it. Finally, on today's video, we're going to be talking about creating a 4-tier Super League with the 92 best teams on the game. So you'll be starting at the bottom tier with a fairly average team, but your players will still be quite good, and you'll have a really hard challenge trying to get promoted up 3 times while playing only against better teams than yours. The other leagues that aren't actually involved will also be developing, so teams like Hertha or Lon will get mad transfer budgets and become European giants if you can manage to ever qualify for a European competition. This means you'll have a very difficult league, but also difficult continental competitions. So is this going to be a super hard version of career mode, even if there is very little realism? In my opinion, the best part of the whole save will be the constant matches against big teams that have real stadiums, and it'll be a lot tougher than the traditional Road to Glory. While your overall might be 75 to begin with, instead of being at 60 like it would be in a normal Road to Glory, you are going to be playing against teams that are maybe 78 rated in League 1, you'll have 81 rated teams in the Championship, and then of course the absolute goats of world football at the minute, teams like PSG, Madrid and Man City playing in the Premier League. The way that transfers work on FIFA career mode as well means there is actually more chance of big name players moving to different teams when they're in the same league. So you can have players like Frenkie de Jong moving to Manchester United as they'll both be in the top division. You'll have players like Messi maybe rejoining Barcelona because they'll again be in the top division. It means that the players get a bit more mixed up. It means that the league will be harder because all the best players will slowly rise to the Premier League just like they do in a normal Road to Glory, and in my opinion it'll be a super fun career mode. Make sure you share your career mode if you do decide to do this one. It's super fun to find out who went where and who you signed for your career mode, so let us know either on Discord, Twitter or in the comments below. But thank you all for watching the video. If you've got any ideas, as I said, leave them in the comments below, and if you didn't like any of these, read the comments because I'm sure some of the commenters have better ideas than me. But thank you all for watching. I'll see you soon. Cheers and goodbye.